This month we got another legendary banner and we'll be going over our new hero along with the 11 other units available. If you're short on orbs, you may want to wait since the second summer banner is coming soon as well. That means another Tempest Trials, so another 40 orbs to add to your stash. It's been long overdue, but finally legendary Xander makes his arrival. Maybe he saw that Veronica's getting some new threads in book 6, so he decided to break out the fancy cape. Honestly, if he showed up in the story with this art, I'd be cool with that. Unlike his Hoshidan counterpart, Xander stays on his horse, but he swaps out his sword to take his father's axe. He's going to be a fire pair-up legendary hero that boosts attack, which is pretty nice. Before we get to his kit, the most surprising aspect to legendary Xander is that all signs point to him being fast. The OG Xander is a classic example of the DC slow unit archetype, but it seems like legendary Xander no longer wants to be tied down. We just got Summer Dimitri, who is also a speedy axe camp, so how does Xander differentiate himself? For old skills, we'll come with Luna, and he'll also bring attack and speed catch 4. I feel like they hid this skill away for a while because it's too good, but recently they've been throwing it on more seasonals like Swiss Bear or attack and speed solo. Making its second appearance is going to be Colorless Feud. I think this is the first feud skill to be on a second unit, so it looks like they haven't forgotten about them just yet. Most would think it's to help against dangerous units like Fallen Rhea or hindering supports like Flane or Elamine, but some people think it could also be a reference to a certain sisterly healer. If it's the latter, that's messed up, man. First weapon, Xander has the Ebon Bolverk, which is Garen's axe. It's going to have 16 might, accelerated specials, and at start of turn if Xander's within 2 spaces of 2 or more allies, he gets the no follow-up status and special charge +1 for every action. If he initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, he gets +5 to all stats during combat and he restores 7 HP after combat. So lots of good perks here, but nothing new. First off, Xander gets no follow-up and special charge, but only if he starts to turn near 2 allies. That's a little more work than most skills that work like this. However, no follow-up and special charge are both amazing on the Cavaliers, so it's worth the trouble. As a reminder, the no follow-up status has a speed check built in, again signifying this Xander is going to be pretty fast. He could use no follow-up to get 2 hits in and then we accelerate specials and extra special charge for every action. This Xander could also run Gelfor as well. The only issue is chaining Wings of Mercy if you want to do that, since Xander is going to be healing after combat. Overall, solid weapon, but we got more combat power from his unique skill. Xander is quite chivalrous and the Chivalry B skill is pretty good. Contour remaining +1 and at start of combat if the foe is more than 50% HP, Xander inflicts -5 attack speed and defense on the foe. Always active is going to be Xander's damage reduction skill, which is a percentage equal to 50% of the foe's current HP at start of combat. First off with Chivalry and Ebon Bolverk, Xander effectively has +10 to all stats, and we add Kanto so Xander can retreat to reproc his weapon next turn. Good stuff. For the damage reduction portion, I feel like the English description is not totally correct. 50% of the foe's HP at start of combat implies to me that if a foe has 40 HP, 50% of that is 20, so 20% damage reduction. Well, according to the example given, it's actually 50% of the foe's current HP. AKA, if a foe has 40 HP and they are at full health, that's 100%, and 50% of that is going to be 50. So instead of 20% damage reduction, this is actually 50% damage reduction, which is much more impressive. Even against half HP foes, Xander still gets 25% DR. This is always active as well, on top of being what is basically +10 defense res, so solid defensive power from a unit who is looking like an offensive threat. Xander might still have bad resistance, so probably don't want to tank mages, but he does have no follow-up, so maybe he won't get abused by these slower ones. Overall, legendary Xander looks pretty fun. He gets some important qualities to be an offensive cavalier, namely no follow-up, Kanto, and cooldown reduction. But then on the defensive side of things, he gets good damage reduction, extra stats, and no follow-up again. He seems to be decent on both sides of play, whereas someone like Summer Dimitri is obviously going to output more damage with Atrocity Brave hits. I think Xander could run some other skills as well. If you love damage reduction, he could use Speed Smoke 4 to stack DR. I believe at full power, that would get him to 70% damage reduction, and debuffs actually activate his Ket skill. As a melee cav, menace skills are great, and Xander doesn't have field buffs or anything, so everything's going to stack with all his skills. For A skills, while he doesn't have tempo, Surge Spell is an option for % max HP healing, maybe unnecessary though since Xander already heals. For those that want a traditional Xander, you could toss in Distant Counter, but don't expect him to have stellar base defense or res. He's got that 50% damage reduction and stat boost though, so maybe it could work if you just want to have some fun. Solid legendary ult, but another offensive unit who probably just explodes if you can nullify damage reduction. Funny enough, Xander has some perks a slow cav could do well with, but they went for speed instead. Interesting choice, but I don't mind when they try to give ults different stat spreads. It keeps things fresh. When I'll talk about the 11 other units on the banner briefly, the red group has Reginn, Leif, and legendary Sigurd. Blue has Nott, Ullr, and Ascended Ishtar. Green has legendary Xander, and joining him is Freyja and Eitri. Maybe Xander is the true villain of book 6. Last for colorless, we have legendary Leif, Niime, and August. Starting with red, we have Reginn, who is our free book 5 unit. She's a speedy sword cav who has Conto 3, but only for 4 turns. Reginn gets some attack and speed with damage reduction, and her Save Their Show special precharges itself and has adaptive damage. To make her initiations powerful, Reginn also has the classic offensive build of Swift Sparrow 3 and low speed and defense. She also has Panic Smoke if you need to mess with field buffs. Next up is Mythic Leif, who is a sword infantry unit. He gets some stats and a follow-up attack when near allies, but after combat he deals 20 recoil damage to the nearest allies, so not the best teammate. His deadly balance adds attack and defense debuffs and grants special charge +1 per the foe's attacks. Open the Future is basically Bonfire with some healing tacked on. Thanks to Time's Pulse, Open the Future is going to be on 2 cooldowns, so taking 1 hit charges it up, and with distant counter, Leif can unleash that special on any attacker and heal back up. Not the worst combat power, but playing around the ally recoil damage is pretty annoying. If you don't need Leif, distant counter plus Time's Pulse is amazing for fodder. Last up is legendary Sigurd, a very powerful sword cav. Sigurd has some nice combat power with specials, a follow-up attack, and a bunch of stats. However, it's the 4 movement he gets with his Holy Knight aura, and if the special triggers, Sigurd gives his whole team +1 movement, which can be a nightmare in PvP. On the defensive side, Sigurd reduces damage from the first range attack by 40%, and he has Crusader's Ward to get 80% DR for consecutive ranged hits afterwards. Pretty annoying. In terms of passives, he's going to have attack and defense catch 4 and Fatal Smoke. Skill wise, the red group is actually pretty good. All 3 units can pass 2 of their passives on if you get some prereqs, so good value all around. In the blue group, we have Mythic Nott, who is a speedy lance infantry unit who stacks a ton of stats in her favor. Her weapon grants +5 stats, and she has bonus doubler, and has the infamous Pathfinder effect to let allies move across her tile for free. Nott's B skill inflicts -5 attack and speed debuffs and gives her dodge, so she's not super easy to take out. On top of all of this, Nott brings attack and speed menace for more buffs and debuffs, and then distant counter for good old fun. Generally speaking, Pathfinder is so busted by itself that Nott is very valuable as a defense mythic, and her popular partner in crime, legendary Sigurd, is also on the banner. Extra movement plus Pathfinder is really absurd. Next up is Mythic Ullr, who's a blue infantry archer. Her Holy UFO Accelerated specials grants bonus attack and speed and neutralizes attack and speed debuffs, and while granting no guard. This synergizes nicely with her B skill, which grants offensive no follow-up, and Desperation, which activates at any HP level. Basically, if Ullr outspeeds you, when she initiates, he's going to hit you twice in a row. This gets better because she has accelerated specials and Time's Pulse to put Deadeye on 1 cooldown. Her first hit charges it up thanks to no guard. Then on hit number 2, Deadeye triggers. So Ullr is a Deadeye firing machine. If you don't need her, she can pass along the Deadeye special with Time's Pulse to any fellow archer, or you can grab Life and Death 4 with either of those skills. Last up is Ascended Ishtar, a blue infantry mage. She's very fast and deals a lot of damage if left unchecked. Then there's Mjolnir Accelerated Specials, grants +6 attack and speed and tempo. Additionally, if Ishtar initiates and outspeeds by 10 or more, she gets brave attacks, just like some of our summer units. Basically, against slower units, Ishtar is going to get 2 hits in first, but against faster threats, she won't get to do that. She also has Time's Pulse with a 3 cooldown special to basically copy Ullr's playstyle. I still believe that Ascended Ishtar is worth looking at if mages get a damage reduction nullification special in the future. If it's 3 cooldown like Deadeye, she gets to do what Ullr can do. Now for passives, along with Time's Pulse, we have Life and Death 4 again. Ishtar also has low speed and res 3. Very easy to get Life and Death 4 with one of the other skills. Like red, the blue group has some amazing skills to fodder. You can get 2 of everyone's skills easily, so I wouldn't be sad getting anyone here. Moving on, we have the green group legendary Xander. For fodder, attack and speed catch 4 is amazing, and C feud or colorless feud will probably continue to be super rare if you do want it. It is possible to get both skills, but you're gonna need New Year's Liar, who is on the Double Special Heroes banner right now. If you're lucky, you can get 2 rare skills out of Xander. Otherwise, attack and speed catch 4 by itself is worth grabbing alone. Joining Xander would be another fast Cavalier, Mythic Freyja. She's a green beast cavalry unit, and her weapon grants distant counter with dodge. Very unusual, but Freyja is ultra fast with low defense and res, so she needs a damage reduction to stay alive. For some extra stats, Binding Necklace grants small boss and inflicts debuffs while stealing the enemy's field buffs for them. Freyja can sneakily turn things around if teams like to buff up. For passives, she has Attack and Speed Solo 4 and Post Smoke 3. Another tough combo to grab together, but it is possible. If you still have the Spring Fur Ephemericon manual, you can get both skills. The other green unit to join Xander is going to be legendary Eitri. She's a tanky flying green mage, which is pretty uncommon in this game. Green Broker gives Eitri Kanto 2 for 4 turns, inflicts -6 attack and res debuffs, and grants a free follow-up attack. This pairs with Divine Recreation, which inflicts -4 to all stats on the foe, and gives Eitri 30% DR for 1 hit. Like Furium's Ice Mirror, the reduced damage is then used to empower Eitri's next counterattack, so if you do big damage to her but don't KO her, then Eitri's going to come back with some vengeance. For passives, she has Attack and Res Solo 4 and Attack and Res Rain 3 for even more debuff stacking. Overall, the green group shares similar traits in stat stacking and damage reduction. If you just want Xander, but you get some unwanted copies, there are some decent skills as well. It will be much tougher to get 2 passives out of these units though. Last up is Colorless, and our sole legendary is going to be Leif. He's a slower colorless bow cav with good attack because Leif has a dual phase brave bow. In the player's hands, he also prevents a follow-up attack when initiating. Leif can be quite dangerous with his Norrøn Seal special, which is a 3 cooldown Gale Force. It limits Leif to 1 movement, but ranged units can't use Gale Force in the first place. He also keeps his S-String Beast Skill for -1 cooldown and 99 HP healing for multi-map content. For Inheritables passives, Attack and Res Push 4 grants more attack and res, and Deep and Smoke debuffs targets, which Leif can utilize with his free action. Very simple unit, but long range brave attacks are still very solid and deadly. Our second colorless unit is Niime, a colorless infantry mage. Niime has high attack and res, and she has the only inheritable colorless tome, which also means that at the moment, that is her only weapon choice. This is the colorless Vulture tome, aka a Plegian tome, and that makes it a decent option to have around. Niime does come with attack and res menace, which synergizes with the Vulture tomes perfectly, so she can hit hard and take some hits back. For other skills, she has attack and res Solo 4. Until we get more colorless mages who need inheritable tomes, not much you can do with the Vulture tome currently. Last up is August, infantry healer. August is pretty interesting with low speed, but some crazy high attack and res with good defense. His diplomacy staff has Wrathful Staff built in, and every turn it grants +6 attack, defense, and res, and a player phase free follow-up status to his support partner. Additionally, if someone on August's team is dead, he grants -2 cooldown to the support partner, along with a follow-up prevention status. Basically, August is one of those units you may not see a lot, but you absolutely need to pay attention if he's on the field. Luckily, outside summoner duels, you don't have to directly deal with this since some our support partners don't work for the AI. Now for fodder, August has Nudge Plus, which is the healing assist with Shove. He also has Fire Flood Bomb Plus and even Recovery 3 to provide a ton of options for healers. For the non-healers, August is the only unit with Defense Res Bond 4 if you want your tanks to neutralize debuffs. Colors probably isn't that tempting since we only have one older legendary hero here. There are some interesting skills to fodder, but generally the 3 other color groups just have skills you can use on a wider variety of units. That will be it for this month's legendary banner. We should be getting a new mythic next month. Maybe Arvel will join if they really wanted the 3 Hopes hype train to continue. Again, summer banner number 2 is coming in about a week, so if you want to see that first, then you can wait a bit. The godly first summer banner is also still around, and it will be, and I know a lot of people will continue to be summoning on that one. Thank you for watching, and good luck summoning for legendary Xander. I'm sure a certain owl is going to be very happy. See you guys in the next video.